All right, guys, welcome back to The Build. This episode is all about the customer service that you need to have in place to really scale a business from the early seven figures, the £1 million mark, to £5 million a year plus. Once you've sold a job, it's all about customer service. Like, this is the difference between a company that really grows and really gets traction is being incredibly focused on the customer, because the customer is giving you the revenue. And once you've sold a project, the customers don't really give a shit about what you say. The main thing a customer cares about is how you make them feel. This is the difference between a company that is exceptional or just average. It's the service that you give that grows a company. And it's the back end part of the company that then starts to look after the front end, because people say good things about you, they refer you, you have a great reputation, you become the authority in the marketplace. And it becomes a full circle moment that works with marketing, works with sales, that the bigger the projects you do, the better the projects you do, the more you can sell that, the more you can market that, the more you've got case studies. It's a full service thing. And this is what allows you to charge the higher margins and become the trusted expert. And this is really what the whole point and the mission of the show and the content I put out is, that it's building you into the business that is the authority. You are the specialist expert. You are the obvious choice in the marketplace. And that's only going to be possible with good customer service, because if the service is off, you can be great at marketing and selling. Eventually, it'll all catch up with you. The business will fail. There are people that are very good at getting a deal and getting a project secured. Then they're natural flares. They've got the charisma. They can sell the job. But if you can't deliver on the back end, bad news travels fast, especially in today's day and age. You can't afford to have anyone saying bad things about you, leaving a bad review, going down the pub saying how shit you were, telling their friends and family or their business friends how bad you were or sloppy you were, the service wasn't good, the end product wasn't good, the finish isn't good enough, I wouldn't recommend you. You can't afford that to happen. So customer service is not just a department in a business. It's a standard that runs through the whole business. Every single touch point, every single person, every single interaction, this standard has to be built on. So the way I see it is that there are 7 parts to exceptional service. And if you don't want to build a business that offers exceptional service, look, just don't bother being in business, because you'll have a real rough time. The business that is built around the customer and the service that you offer, that's how you're going to be able to build a company that is hugely profitable. That's how you're going to build the best reputation in the marketplace. And that's how you're going to be able to build and become the ultimate authority at what you do. So this episode is essential. It's non-negotiable. Customer service is the difference between a company that makes single-digit margins, like very slim margins, or the company that does 25% plus. And in reality, it's how one company can charge 50 grand for a project, and you take that same project and a different company can charge 65. And this is what happens every day in business. The race to the bottom, there's someone that's always cheaper, they're always out there, they're always going to exist. But the service, the standards that you operate, is that difference. The 50k company job or the 65 grand company job, same project. So there's 7 areas to master that we need to get right. Number 1, you've got to have it in your mind that you need to exceed expectations, or by definition, you are average. Meeting expectations is the bare minimum requirement in my world. Anyone can be average. That's not what you want to be aiming for. Oh, this is how everyone else does it. This is industry standards. If you are going to set yourself up and be a business where the minimum expectation is good enough, by default, 50% of the companies out there are worse than you, but the other 50% are better than you. You're in the middle, which is no man's land, which is grey land, which means low profit, shit company, shit team, not a great business. And the reality is, look, most trade businesses, they turn up late. They're unorganized. They look like shit. They communicate poorly. They leave mess. They leave unfinished items on jobs on sites. And they disappear. When problems happen, you can't get hold of them. The aftercare doesn't exist. This is the reality of the bulk of the industry. 80% of the industry is like this. This is why a lot of customers have got fear around using us. To you and me, it's obvious that we're good in what we do, but the customer doesn't know that. So we've got to exceed expectations and not give them any doubt, because the bar is on the floor and it costs you so much. If you don't have the service right, I guarantee it will be impacting sales conversions by at least 10%. You know, if people are going to a tender for projects and jobs and you're not winning jobs, it's because your service is shit. Like, because all of the stuff on site happens after the fact. If you can't close deals at the front end, and if it's below 10% conversion, like if you look and price at 10 jobs or 10 projects and you're winning less than 10%, your service is shit. Whereas if you take a different company and you look at the same 10 projects and you're converting at 30, 40, 50%, that's a completely different business. And it's because the service is good. Every touch point, every communication, every phone call, every email, every interaction, every document that you send the customer, every part of your marketing channels, every part of your sales process is on the button. This is the game. And this is how you can wildly turn a business that's not successful into a business that's very successful by exceeding expectations in the front end of the company and then all the way through as well, so that you match reality. And the difference required is that you need to build a company in today's day and age with how informed the client is. You've got to educate the client, because they're going to come to you with quite a bit of information. They're going to have done their research. They've been on ChatGPT. They've looked around. They know roughly what things should cost and how things should work. But you need to be the one that confirms that education or points them wrong, because not all information on the internet is correct. You and I know that. So you've got to be the one that actually is the final education that the client needs. And you lead the client and you explain, I understand why you think X, because you've probably seen this, this, and this. But in reality, this is how it actually works. You've got to take control of the sales process and the client, because the client does want to be led. They want to feel secure and safe. They want certainty from you on the costs and the timescales and the program and the scope of works and how it works and the problems that will come up or things they haven't thought about. When you point out the non-obvious to the client, that's when you are building trust. So the more that you communicate very clearly early on and you make the client feel important and respected, this is the service standard that you've got to build. And this is the gap. And if you close this gap, and if you operate at the difference that most companies will refuse to because it's harder and it takes more work, this is where you will close the gap very quickly and become the expert in your market. And you become the best known people at what you do. And number two, it's looking at the little things. The little things are the big things. And what I mean by that is that most business owners just focus purely on the spec, the price, and getting the projects done. Let's just get this job done, then we get on to the next one, the next one, the next one. And that obviously goes without saying from a business point of view. You've got to get the jobs done. The spec's got to be right. The price has got to be right. You've got to get the jobs done. That's just the bare minimum requirement. But the cost of not getting this right is that you're not building a client that loves you by looking at the details and doing the little things and going the extra mile. Because what you are trying to build with a customer is a lifelong friend. You are trying to make them be a walking billboard for you and your brand for the years and decades to come, of only saying really good things about you. Because the customer doesn't just want the job doing. The right customers. And I'm always talking from the perspective of how I build a company of the top 3% of the market. You want the best clients who pay the most money, who have the best products, and keep buying over and over again. These are the clients you want to build a company around. And they're not looking at just who can just get the job done. They don't remember that, especially when you finish the job. What they remember is, do you pick up the phone properly? Do you meet them with a smile? Do you meet them with positive energy? Did you and your team turn up when you said you would? Were you always on time? Were you always very clear, communicative? Do you let them know all the time of what things happened and what's going to happen next? Did your team respect them? Did your team respect their family? Or did your team respect their team if it's a commercial project? And did you ultimately respect their property? Because we are all going to be working on people's homes or businesses. And how important is your home and business to you? It's your life. It is everything. So it's like that for your customer. They're spending their own money. They're investing their money back into their business, workplace, or environment. They're building their home for their kids, for their family. They're building that dream home to watch films on a Sunday, to have Sunday roasts collectively, to have people over, to socialize, to host. So this is what you're building. You got to treat each job and project that it is their world, because it is their world. And ultimately, you've got to ask yourself, do you make your customer feel at ease? The person that leads a company and makes their customer feel at ease is the company that's going to win all the work. It's not just about the price. It's never really about the price. Do you explain things simply? Do you deliver? And they're going to remember all these things. So the difference required to take advantage of this is systemize the boring stuff. Have standardized responses to situations and processes in the company. The sales process, the first email that goes back, the speed that you go back to, how you follow up on a quote, how you close the deal, how you pre-start a job, the scripts, the templates, the checklists, the confirmation calls that you make to the client, the messages, the information you give the client, the way that you structure yourself and the whole business. With pre-start meetings, this is the biggest one. Setting the expectations, the realities of how the job's actually going to be in real life, how noisy it's going to be, how messy it's going to be, how you're going to work, how you're going to clean the site, how you're going to track progress and problems. Like, you need progress reports. You need follow-ups. All of this needs to be standardized. So that at the end of the job, you actually check back in and go, you're happy with everything. You hand the job over, the handover process, and that's how you get reviews. You get your reviews at that point. Maybe it's that point you get a case study and you document the job that you've done, or you get finished and you record it. Maybe you video it. Maybe you get stuff for your social media. This all needs to be processed and driven. And you need to actually give a shit. I mean, this is what it actually comes down to. A customer service is giving a shit. And yes, we are in business to make money, and that is the North Star of profitability, but not maximizing profit by avoiding problems. If there are problems left at the end of the job, it will cost you more than the little bit of profit you might lose then to solve it in the bad reputation and name in the marketplace. And a lot of the times at the end of the job, there is always going to be something that's slightly nigging your client. It's bothering them. And it's a £100 fix, a £500 fix. It's very small in the grand scheme of things. And this is where the competition just lose miserably. This is when 99% of businesses don't care. Is that if you see something wrong with a project, maybe the client hasn't seen something wrong. But if you see it wrong and you tell the client and go, do you know what, I've noticed that there, I'm not happy with it, it needs to be changed, I'm going to get it done. Even if they go, no, don't be silly, no, it's not a problem, I've never noticed it. You need to get it done. Because that is a difference. That is what buys you so much trust. That is what builds a reputation. Is that if you know something's not right, get it fixed, get it sorted. If something's not been done correctly, it needs to be resolved. And that'll be the best money you ever spend in this business, because it's that genuine care for the standard of work that you do. Then next, linking into this, is that you need to create the maximum amount of certainty in a very uncertain process. Your customer is shitting themselves over this project or job ahead that they're looking to spend money with you on. The more they are spending hundreds of thousands of pounds, maybe millions of pounds on a project, it's a huge amount of money. And construction is scary to our customers. It's chaotic. It's got lots of doubt written all over it. It's risky. They are worried about it. They are over-obsessing. They are procrastinating. They are concerned about choosing the right contractor. They are worried that a contractor is able to deliver to the right standard. They're worried about losing money. They're worried about the budget going out of control. They're human, and all humans have needs, and you need to understand this of how humans work. The number one need of a human is certainty. They want to know for sure that you're going to deliver, because they are thinking, can I trust this person? Can I trust this company? Will this go over budget? Will you deliver on time and to that budget? Or will it be a nightmare to work with you? And most companies fail at this, and they make these doubts come true, which is why the industry's got a bad name, because most people do not deliver. The doubts and fears that a customer has ends up becoming a reality, and it becomes a nightmare. And this is what we have to avoid. So the difference required starts at the very front, starts with how you respond to the inquiry, and then the clear pricing that you put in front of the client with a clear, detailed specification. Written, detailed, organized. A clear process of working, different stages of the job, the program, how it's going to work, and you actually point out the risks from day one with that project or job that the client has asked you to price and look at. You own the risks. You own the problems that could come up. And you point them out and you identify them and you tell the customer the worst case that could happen, because you're reducing the anxiety. By being proactive and updating clients regularly, especially when those problems do arise, you are reducing anxiety, because this is your ultimate goal. Again, understanding how humans work. When a human is anxious, they don't make good decisions. They're worried. They make brash decisions. And when you reduce anxiety, customers feel safe. When you're anxious, you don't feel safe. Whereas when someone reduces that anxiety for a client, because your clients are anxious, you need to understand this. And if you're that person, if your company and every member of your team reduces anxiety, customers feel safe. When they feel safe, they'll pay more money. You can justify premium pricing, which allows you to have a higher gross margin, so you can then build a better company that can then reinvest back into better team, better standards, better systems, and the circle goes on and on and on, because then you can take on bigger jobs at bigger margins again, and that's how you scale the company. And this is how people are going to end up trusting you with large sums of money. Because if someone is spending 100 grand or £1 million, that's a trust game. That's not well, someone else is 950, but I don't trust them. I'd rather pay the $1 million. This is the game. And this is how you get the best referrals and repeat work, when you reduce anxiety and you make customers feel like you really genuinely cared, and you are reducing their stress load. Next, you need to look at just owning the problems. And I've briefly touched on this, but people look at problems as just problems and dead ends, whereas actually problems are opportunities to grow and scale the company. The moment something goes wrong on a project, which we all know will happen, it does happen. The best of the best businesses, there are things that just happen out of your control, out of just the day-to-day. Things go wrong. Things get installed incorrectly. Things get lost. Things get missed. Things get delayed. Client changes their mind. Projects go wrong. This is the business we're in. And the moment something goes wrong is where real loyalty and trust is actually built with a customer. It's where trust is built. And you think like a doctor in an emergency situation. If you've got an emergency and your leg is hanging off, you want to go to the doctor that's going to tell you, okay, this is where we're at. This is what we need to do to stitch your leg back on. And you trust that doctor because they know what they are doing. But in reality, if a doctor flapped and said, well, there's nothing we can do, or I'm not sure what we can do, and just nothing but no clarity, no control, you're not going to trust that doctor. And the reality in a business setting is that most business owners run from problems. They run like cowards. They hide away from them. They think, I'd rather not know. And I had this conversation last week with a supplier where they openly told me that the management of the company deliberately stay away from projects at the end because they know there's problems and they'd rather not know. And that is the surefire way of a company that's going to end up dying, because they don't want to own the problems. And then what happens is you've got very small problems that become big problems, because what does people do? they fester on problems. They manifest problems into being bigger than what they actually are. And before you know it, they've told the story 16 times and it's changed and got worse every single time. And something that was very small that you could have owned and controlled has turned into an absolute shit show down the line. And most people, they avoid them. They delay getting back to people. They avoid calls and they make excuses and they just blame other people. And it's really acting like a child. And this is actually a really common thing in the industry, that business owners actually act like children. They don't own things. They don't take responsibility. They don't take the load and do what is required, because all of these things is a short-term win, but it's a long-term disaster. And it just destroys trust. And you've got to be keeping trust all of the time with your clients. And it's not about just the trust at the front end of the sales process. It's keeping trust in the delivery process. When things go wrong or problems happen, owning them and respecting the client. So the difference required is when something goes wrong, no matter how small or big, own it fast. Like today, now. If it comes up or you can see it coming down, own it, get on it today, now. And communicate clearly. Tell the client, I've seen this has happened, I'm on it, leave it with me, I'm working on it, and I will let you know what will happen next by the end of the day or the hour or tomorrow, depending on the severity of the problem, whatever it is. You got to do the right thing when the problems happen. You have to do the right thing. It's not about you. This is the bigger picture. It's doing the right thing. So how I like to look at this is, once you found out the facts, because sometimes you hear about a problem on site or on a project and it's third hand, or it's come from the wrong perspective or the wrong person. So what you need to do is find out exactly what has happened. And then tell the client, look, this is exactly what has happened. Let me tell you the facts. And then tell them this is what we're going to do to fix it. There's no point flagging a problem without a solution. That is a waste of everyone's fucking time. Tell them this is exactly what's happened. This is what we're going to do to fix it. This is how long it will take, or cost, or maybe both. And maybe you need to get more cost from the client because it's a problem that wasn't yours. It's happened because of a spec change or a variation or whatever. You've got to tell them this is what it's going to take to do. This is how long time it's going to take. This is how much it's going to cost. This is the impact on program. Because everyone goes wrong and tries to do more in the same program they originally agreed. It's not going to happen. Get it out in the wash there and then. And then equally tell them this is how we're going to make it right if it is a problem that you have created or your team has created. How are you going to make it right? Because solving the problem is just, that's the bare minimum requirement. If you've done something wrong, or your team has done something wrong on site, or handled something incorrectly, not communicated something clearly, solving it is just a bare minimum to get you back to an even keel. You need to go past that point and go, right, do you know what? To make it right, I'm going to do this for you as well. I'm going to give you a gift maybe. I'm going to give you a freebie on something else. Whatever it might be, whatever is relative and adequate for the problem that you've got in front of you. And if you do that, you will turn a negative situation into authority and control and real ownership, and then trust with the client. So the real thing this all comes down to is raising your standards above the market. Raise your standards. I will drum this in multiple times through different episodes of the show and different content and things I put out. Standards, standards, standards. They have to be above the market. Because we're not in business to compete on price. We compete on the standards. It's the standards that separates you. The weak, poor, shit business that just competes on price and race to the bottom is the one that has no standards. Good, high value, high quality clients want high standards. There is a premium level to any part of any market, whether you are going on holiday on a flight, whether you are buying a watch, whether you are going to a restaurant. There is the bottom end of the market and there is the highest end of the market, that the prices swing incredibly off a different scale. A different scale. You can buy a $4.99 sandwich from Tesco's in a meal deal, or you can go and spend 200 quid in Lucky Cat in Gordon Ramsay's place in Bishopsgate. Like, there is a scale. It's the same problem. You're solving someone who's hungry, but it's different buyers at every level of the market. And the real thing is that standards are everything. And I will be doing an episode purely on standards, of the standards I think are required to win in this industry. But the industry is below average. Trust me. You know this anyway, by what you've seen, not just the work on site, but how people operate as a company and as a business. Most of them are shitty owners. Most of them are reactive. Most of them are emotional. Most of them are out of control. Because it's not just about what you do. What we do, what your skill trade is, whatever it is, it's not about that. It's how you do it. That's the difference. That's the service. And enforcing the standards is the game. You can look so elite and be elite instantly and charge at least 10% more than the next company just by raising the standards. So it's worth doing. So really for me, the real difference required starts with how you turn up at a customer's home or business. It's how you look at them in the eye. It's how you shake their hand. It's how you hold yourself. It's the confidence levels you've got. It's how you lead the client. It's being that calm, composed, natured client and person versus being the stressed out, messy person who doesn't turn up and signal, I am the man at what I do. We are the best at what we do. And this is every little detail. Every detail. It's the energy you bring. It's the paperwork that you have in front of you. It's the notepad you've got. It's the appearance you've got. It's the vans. It's the kit. It's the tools. It's the tidiness. It's the office. It's everything. It's absolutely everything, down to the high vises that people work, the way that your lads or your team or your staff or team members introduce themselves and say hello. And I like to look at this because I'm big into cars. And if you're into cars, you will relate that you understand that if you go to a luxury car show, like a concourse car show, the way car shows are run on specialist cars, like a very elaborate cars or classic cars in a show, concourse works in there's like 100 points to start with. So everyone starts with 100 points. So you imagine you've got a brand new, not brand new, but a classic car, something really special like a Ferrari F40 that's worth millions of pounds. If that car goes into a show, it starts with 100 points and it gets deducted for every tiny little thing wrong with a car, there is a point deducted. And the car that wins is the car that has the maximum amount of points. But this is how it's structured. It starts with the maximum points and the points get deducted. This is how you want to look at your business. Start with 100 points and think, right, where are we losing points? Is it on the phone calls? Is it on our appearance? Is it on how we reply back to people? Is it the service? Is it the scope of works? Is it the checklist that we have in the business? Where are you losing your points? Because you'll be losing points everywhere. And if you're losing 20 points, you're not going to have a great business. You want to be the car that wins a show that gets 98 points, 97 points, in that sort of realm of the world. And look at your company as that and go, right, if there's 100 points of what we do, what are the quick wins that we can solve to increase the points so that we actually win the show? This is where you want to be thinking like that. And next, this ultimately comes down to you want to be making people feel important. Because business owners tend to treat customers like a pain in the ass or a problem. Oh, fucking hell, they're phoning me again. They want this now. They want to change this. They want to do that. And yes, sometimes some customers are a pain in the ass and they're more difficult than the others. But we can't look at them like that. We can't look at them like a pain in the ass. We can't just look at them as the next job. Because if you do that, what's going to happen is your clients are then going to just feel like a number. They're going to just feel like another job or another project or an inconvenience. You can never let your client think that they are an inconvenience to you or your company, even if the ones they are being a bit demanding. But you've got to monitor and you've got to manage and you've got to maintain that and lead that customer so that they're not so demanding, and explain to them the process of how you work and why things are done in a methodical way. You've got to make your customers feel important, because customers want to feel seen. They want to feel heard and valued and respected. And they will have questions that you need to answer, and they will be the same questions over and over again. And this is how you get better at a business, is answering those questions for the client before they ask for it. Because that's how a business really wins. If you can answer things for clients before they even have to ask it, in your marketing, in your material, in your quotation, in your pre-start meetings, they're going to feel seen, they're going to feel heard, they're going to feel valued, and they're going to want to buy from you. You've got to make people feel important. It's an experience business we're in. So the difference for you, and just some practical tips of how to do this, is look, when you're with a client, you should be speaking 20% of the time. They should be speaking 80% of the time. If you're speaking at them about how good you are, what you know, what your knowledge bank is, they're not feeling seen or heard. You need to be asking leading questions and letting them speak 80% of the time. And you need to remember the details about them, what they're into, things about their home, things about their kids, things about their hobbies, maybe things about their business and things you see on the side or things you see in the room or in the office that you're in or the project that you're looking at and doing. You need to become genuinely interested in people. This is a people sport. If you want to sell a lot and make a lot of money, your goal is to make a friend out of every customer. Because if you make a friend, you'll make a sale. Whereas most people are just looking at the sale as a transactional thing of just what's in it for me, yes or no, you doing it or not. You're there to make a friend and lead that friend into making a good decision so that you then get the sale at the end. So you've got to learn to tailor your communication. This is the big thing with the industry and just the skill of a business owner is knowing what hat to put on with what client. And I'm pretty good at doing this. I can speak to someone who's on the tools, who's a bit rough around the edges, a young lad, bit of banter on site and having a laugh and a crack and a joke. But equally, I can be in a boardroom with someone who's 80 and speak slower, speak control, speak concise. Or in an argument or a confrontational setting where someone might be arguing about money, certainly with a QS, if you've ever worked in a commercial setting and QSs are arguing money, you have to wear a different hat for that. You have to communicate very differently for that. You have to hold your own and not cave and not bottle it and then ask for money that's yours justifiably and not follow their reasonings for deducting money. A lot of you will experience this with QSs. You lose money because you just lose the battle because your communication is not good enough. And you've just got to make people feel that their project is the most important thing in the world to you because it is to them. To them, it is their home. It is their business. It's their hard-earned money. It's their life. So you have to actually give a shit. Make them feel like the most important person in the world to you. If you do that, that is what they're going to remember. That's what they're going to talk about. That's why they're then going to sing your praises. And the weak business owners just think about, well, we've got the job done. What more do you want? You're so off the mark. You're so off the mark. So the real play, as a reminder, you are not in the skilled trade business. That's just what you do. You are in the experience business. You want to be providing an experience for every customer and client that enters your world. You are in the authority and trust business. You need to become the authority and build trust with clients. The only way to do that is to become the specialist and the expert and being the trusted person that people want to work with because your service is amazing. Because ultimately you are selling certainty. You are selling certainty. The trade, whatever you do, is just the vehicle that you are in. Business is very simple. You are selling certainty. The reason why someone would want to choose you and work with you and your company, even if you are more money, even if you are a longer lead time, it's because you are selling certainty. That's the difference. So if you are not thinking in the terms of maximizing customer service at every level and thinking about having a CRM in place, having detailed operations, detailed scopes of work, and detailed reporting to the client that's a set systemized process, you will not maximize the potential and the scalability of the business. And this is what I want to put into every company that I partner in is, right, let's make this seamless. Let's make this the best. Let's go the extra mile. How do we stand out compared to everyone else? This is the game. This is what you need to do. So the bottom line, guys, for this episode of the show, if your delivery experience is not watertight, it's not consistent, it doesn't make people feel good, and it's not profitable, you will hit a ceiling quickly. Solve that first. There's no point scaling and adding to a business if you're not nailing that now. And if you think that good service is just not getting complaints, you've got it so backwards. That is not a sign of success. No complaints is not a good sign of success. That's not good enough. The sign of good service is customers saying, wow, I'm so happy with the detail of work you've done, but I love your team. I love working with you. I love you guys. If the customer's inviting you over for a cup of tea and they want to spend more time with you, you've built that friend. They love you. They love your business. They love your team. This is your true sign of success. It's when your team have an amazing relationship with your clients. Real customer service is about creating that next level experience that people can't stop talking about. And every single client needs to know what is happening at all times. Every touch point should be intentional, not accidental. Every problem should be handled faster than expected. And every project and every interaction should feel premium. It should feel luxury. It should feel amazing, not transactional. And every client should become a referral source. And if they're not leaving reviews, if they're not willing to do case studies, if they're not talking good things about you, there's a clue. The service isn't good enough. It needs to get better. And if you provide that really amazing experience and service, your marketing and the sales will work for you as a default, and the money will happen as a byproduct. The profit will grow as a byproduct. If you've got the numbers right at the front end and you maintain it and you deliver a great service, it's all downstream from there. Quick one, guys. If you're doing over £1 million a year in revenue, but you know the business is not quite where it should be for how much work you put in, maybe the margins are slipping, maybe cash is a bit tight, maybe everything depends on you a little bit too much, I guarantee you've got leaks in the business, real profit leaks that need fixing quickly. The first step is to find the leaks, and that's why I built the 100K profit leak audit, to show you exactly where you are losing money, what is inefficient, and what needs to be fixed first. No fluff to it, there's no complicated accountant language, it's just total clarity on the business. You'll find the link below this. Go and take the 100K profit leak audit now. That's the best place to start.